I got more than a hockey team here. Almost.
That's all right.
Let's have a baseball team. We can start
Skating?
Yeah. Who's here? Wait a second. Hold on just a second. Who's here? We should take attendance here. This is okay.
All right. Then let me just take 1 minute to make the announcement. For those of you, pass the word to your fellows. We want your written reports, the full reports, at the 14th of December, which is the week from today. Okay? At that meeting, at all possible. That's your written report. These are your oral reports. Okay, thank you. Will you please proceed?
Sure. Hi, my name is Michael Lowe, and I'll be here to present to you on our Studies of Operations research project. What we did was work on, the title of our project is to develop a dynamic simulation model for the USA Bantam 95 AAA Youth Hockey League on hockeybarn.com to predict future scores with 75% accuracy through optimization of decision variables using linear programming. So our team consists of Connie Chang, Kaya Shaw, Jonathan Khan, Amanda Yat, Sungjun Hong, Victor Luring, and myself. So our sponsor is Josh, which thanks for coming out also. And he is the CEO of Interactive Sports, which is currently hosting this website, hockeybarn.com, and developing the website. And our mentor, Professor Riccio. So what Hockey Barn is basically an online hub for hockey players and friends and families of youth hockey leagues to come together and talk about youth hockey leagues, and they can create profiles and they can talk on forums and they can get rankings and scores of past games. So really it's just a hub for youth hockey league players and friends and families. So here's a screenshot of the website in its current state, just to give you a better sense of what the website is that we're working with.
So this is our problem description. So when Josh came to us and Professor Riccio talked to us about it, we wanted to create a simulation of any two games that would potentially happen. So what we wanted to see is that if we took Team A against Team B, what is the chance that they would actually end up winning? So what we wanted to do is develop the simulation game between those two teams and discover which variables are important in determining the goal difference. So if it is the record, the streaks, the recentness of the games, if you're looking at the opponent's strength, what are all these different variables that will play into the fact that the goal difference between a certain two teams would end up being the deciding factor. So this is our metric essentially. How do we judge ourselves? So what we're going to do is we need to not only simulate the games with considerable accuracy, what we're going to do is we're going to backtest it to see how we did. So what we did was we took September and October data from myhockeyrankings.com, and we took a lot of data, about 1,600 points, and we used that to essentially come up with our projections. And then as November went along, we tested our projections against what actually happens in November. So just to see how good we are in doing them. So and we'll show you exactly how much better we actually made it. Now, you see out here, there are professional simulations softwares available right now that do NFL predictions, like AccuScore and Pick'em. And they are right about 66% of the times. So if we are close to 66% or better than it, we are doing very well. And that was essentially our metric for figuring out how we did.
So this is the timeline for our project. First of all, we started with collecting all the data. So our team members went to collect all the data for pretty much every team that they have with the results on scores, opponents, as well as the date that they play, which all would have an effect in our formula on our new ranking system, which is the method that we use, in which John is going to talk about it later on. And then after creating our method, we did the algorithm by programming on how the scores that we kind of predicted is going to be correlating with the actual scores that happened in November. And with being satisfied with all our results, we can use it to predict all the scores in the Youth Hockey League as well. So these are the IUR tools that we use. First of all, we use PropStat and linear programming to better find the decision variables in which we can better help us to predict which aspect of the the variables that we use is more important and we can put more weight on it. And then we use forecasting and simulation to predict the scores that in November. And now Amanda's going to talk about the assumptions that we made in this project.
So in our approach, we made 3 assumptions. The first one is bounding the problem. Because of the large amount of data we had to bound our problem so as to limit the scope of our data. And we took a subset of our data, taking only Bantam 95 AAA. The second assumption we made was data mining and cleaning. So because the youth hockey league was very dynamic, there are a lot of teams that were added or removed really frequently. So we decided that we would remove all the opponents who are not present in the games. And hence, we omitted all the data of the games which had missing opponents, and this increased our data, the accuracy of our data. And third one was the metric used. So basically, we had AccuScore and Pick'em have a prediction accuracy of 66%. And so that's our basis for comparing our metric too. And now Johnny will present the model that we use for our project.
So over here for our ranking system, we looked at it game by game basis, and we want to know, which variables could change a team's ranking. So as you can see here, our 4 variables are the game results points, goal difference multiplier, opponent strength, and assessment period. And for example, the opponent assessment period is really how relevant games are to the date you're calculating the ranks for. So we use these variables as multipliers and use the formula to calculate the rank points of each game. And we aggregated all these game rank points for each team and divided by the number of games they played to have a relative scoring between all the teams. So we initially gave rough estimate of weights by eye to these variables in order to get a rough idea of what our ranking system will look like on Excel. So here's a screenshot of some of the data that we used and entered manually. We collected over 1,600 points of data in our ranking system, and Connie is going to talk about the optimization analysis.
So as you can see from the Excel file, we were able to plot the goal difference versus the difference in game rank points. And from here, we were able to develop an R-squared of 5547. And so from this, we decided to use a linear programming. So originally, our R-squared was not this high, so we were trying to basically maximize it. And to maximize R-squared while editing the different multipliers that we had. So those were our variables. And so basically you can't change goal difference because each game is already done and the goal difference is going to be set. So we were trying to change the ranking and basically change the trend line to be so that it was more accurate. So if we go to the next slide, here are some of the 2 out of 4 of the variables. The first being the weighting of game results points. So a win would have a greater multiplier than a loss.